Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is Page of Wands energy. Cannot think of a better card for us to be starting our equinox time with. We have here communication, new ideas, new plans. The beginning, I told you, a lot of the work we've been seeing over the last few weeks has been planting those seeds. Even over the last few weeks, we saw that level or degree of impatience energetically, that feeling of not necessarily seeing a lot of that movement occurring in terms of what you are doing. I also need to stress we're in some pre-shadow period right now. So we're even observing and recognizing right now that some of that stillness that we were seeing was a little bit of that pre-shadow period that was energetically occurring right now. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is that motivational point that we're seeing, that what happens when we go through that energetic or spiritual spring cleaning. Why was the energy in the divine union doing so much of that work? That assessment, that observation in terms of recognizing that even energetically there's only so much that one can do before feeling that point of overwhelm is creating a moment for masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency to reassess, to reestablish, to look how much they've changed since entering the frequency, to ascertain what feels like it is necessary, what feels like it is foundational, which versus what feels like it is no longer, that is potentially not taking up that necessary, it's not energetically needed anymore. It feels like it is extraneous. That is the gift that we experience when we move into better union with someone, because that is that modality of saying, and we see that it's almost that streamlining that a lot of the energy in the divine union is doing right now, but in relationality, to be able to conserve energy, to be able to do what with it? To put it into new ideas, to put it into new plans, to put it into new opportunities, to put it into new communication. So this is going to show us that this is a week that is really showing a lot of that fruit of the effort that we've been seeing for the energy in the divine union, almost starting to show that effort or energy having energetically paid off. Masculine and feminine energy that are coming into the divine union frequency right now. This modality, this ability that we are assessing, this point of recognition, what did we see was happening? This is feeling like a little bit more of a grieving process for a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now, specifically due to the fact that observation of feeling some of the energetic shift that is happening for some of the energy right now as they move into divine union. It is either happening on a metaphysical level or it's happening in a very tangible way. That ability of feeling like one is leaving behind some past version of self as you move into divine union, as you feel that deepening of the connection. Or we see that a lot of the energy seeing the tangible results of changes energetically around you, potentially even in the individuals or people in your own life, navigating you moving into that divine union frequency. A lot of energy right now is overcoming what may have felt like self-sabotage, having experienced that before and moved in letting the abandonment move pull you back out of the divine union frequency. What is the energy doing right now that is allowing for that continuation further? They are embracing that childlike energy of newness. They are embracing that unfolding. They are embracing being able to address something and potentially even feeling that you haven't necessarily encountered this. This is unknown territory, if you will. It can feel very frightening when you move into unknown territory. It can feel very tender, right? We even saw over the last week or so a lot of those abandonment wounds rising to the surface, feeling that level or degree of vulnerability. What is the energy right now doing as they proceed forward in this way? They are utilizing that connectivity point, that feeling of moving into the unknown, if you will, holding on to one another together to almost propel that feeling of certitude. Because what was the energy saying to itself as it was moving deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency right now? You're not alone. I'm with you. You're not alone. I'm with you. We're doing this together. That ability to navigate through the abandonment wound by extending outwards instead of pulling away is what is amplifying a lot of the energy that is moving forward right now. Are they doing so with confidence? No. No, but that's the beauty of moving forward with integrity. Moving forward with integrity doesn't necessarily require you to have to move forward with confidence, because it is your own integrity that is able to step forward, even at those moments that uncertainty takes root. So we see even now, for a lot of the energy moving through this right now, this is almost feeling very much like that childlike energy, and depending on where you are on the astrological chart is going to have a different dependency on how you experience that. That's either going to feel like that sense of newness, that excitement, that joy, or that sense of anxiety. When we say child, it has all of that same modality there, depending on what aspects that you embrace. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy that is moving forward in this way, the ability to amplify and communicate what you are feeling is what is reinforcing that path forward. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is the newness of some of the energetic cycles that we are observing and seeing that are happening right now for a lot of this energy in separation. This ability, this adaptability, this point of observation, if you will, being able to see and recognize something, being able to identify, and even now for a lot of the energy that's moving away from what may have felt like a past connection of closure, something that you didn't see the ability of recognizing, some ability to come into healing a space with. Is this energy feel like they're alone on this journey right now? Absolutely not. What are we identifying that the energy is experiencing as they move forward in separation? They're finding that energy that is the energetic equivalent, that is doing the same work on the way, building those new energetic connections. Continuing to get clarification on the cards this week. 2 cards in our 5-card spread. For our second card, we have here our Queen of Cups in combination with our 7 of Cups in its upright. These are beautiful cards right now, and this is how we see and recognize that a lot of the energy is moving through that state or space of navigating what you may be feeling like you are energetically leaving behind. What is this doing right now? It is having a different impact depending on whether you align to masculine or feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. The feminine energy in the expression of the divine union. Well, let's start with separation, because the feminine energy in separation right now, since we were just on the energy of separation, is going through that process that we're effectively seeing right now. What is the energy of the feminine doing right now if moving forward and building those new tenuous connections? Even now, this is a feminine energy that is recognizing and amplifying. They're not throwing themselves energetically into these new connections. These are energies that are going through that process of recognizing that they're going through what could be feeling energetically or spiritually like a grieving process. Being able to energetically let go is what is now amplifying and allowing the feminine energy to build those new connective opportunities or connections with energy that is doing likewise. But this is, again, an energy of the masculine and feminine in separation right now, finding each other in these modalities and speaking with a lot of tenderness, almost finding each other energetically tender, because this is, again, these are situations and circumstances that are amplifying some energy that didn't necessarily want to move into separation. This is energy that may have felt like they tried to do everything that one could energetically do to bring something positive to something. And even now we see that that ability to articulate, to amplify, to find each other in that point of grief, almost holding space for each other in this new modality, is what is allowing an amplification of new energetic connections potentially happening right now for a lot of the energy in separation. The feminine energy is going through this right now by feeling that energetic heart expansion, if you will, holding space, being able to hold their own extension of their own energy, looking with a point of compassion while also holding space for the grief of what they're potentially walking away from right now. That is the ability of the feminine, because that is the feminine energy moving into that state or space of integrity. For masculine, this is masculine energy that's moving forward from a place of healing, wanting to come into that state or space of, again, taking a new approach. This is masculine energy that, again, doesn't want to build forth from with feminine from a state or or space of illusion. This is masculine that, again, is trying to teach themselves how to reconnect with the feminine in a state or space that allows for that level or degree of clarity and authenticity. Energetically, this is why we see that for a lot of the energy and separation, even on that healing journey right now, this is the expansion of a feminine, feeling that sense of the heart opening, masculine, almost feeling that childlike energy, trying to build forth from a place of space or feminine, of vulnerability, but also trying to, like, again, leave that sense of excitement. So this is that hard path work that we see a lot of this energy right now in separation that is doing in the face of what they are energetically feeling like they are moving away from, that wasn't preventing them to be able to move towards their long-term manifestation goals. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now. This ability, this modality that we are energetically seeing at this time, for that point of observing, coming into divine union, being able to recognize even now that as you move into the divine union frequency, there's that feeling, as we said, the extension of either the individuated experience of feeling like one is moving behind, leaving, shedding one's own layers, coming into a different sense of the self, almost creates a grieving process for that past self. While for masculine and feminine, this is either happening on that internal level coming into divine union right now, or it's that feeling of feeling the express tangible of the energy around you shifting as you move into divine union. Is it building a space or place of masculine and feminine coming out of the divine union frequency? No. What are these energies doing right now that is fortifying and building that sense of connectivity? They're utilizing even that mutual path work right now. That observation that it is not a solo, singular experience when you feel like this coming into divine union. It is building the energetic connective tissue right now that is reaffirming and allowing a lot of this energy to continue forward in this way. It's heavy work. It's difficult work. We see even now it is something that may feel like a hard expansion, but for the energy coming into the divine union frequency, this is that moment that is almost, again, amplified by that feeling of breakthrough. Masculine and feminine experiencing that in different ways. As I mentioned, that observational point is something that is a little bit more aligned to the feminine journey. Feminine is more easily able to come into a point of acceptance, that comes part and parcel with the ability to come into divine union. Masculine energy right now, that point of potentially recognizing, not moving into that state or space of self-sabotage, and if you were experiencing this, having that be a moment that almost allows for the energetic breakthrough, it may feel a little vulnerable for some of the masculine that is effectively experiencing this right now. But what are we effectively or energetically seeing right now that is occurring? That ability of masculine to experience that point, to even recognize what that point is. It almost feels like the masculine coming into a new sense of themselves, right? That's a masculine almost finding a new sense of themselves even as they enter the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy right now in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is that modality that feels like a lot of that energetic breakthrough that is potentially occurring right now for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. And this, in a way, is what we've been seeing has been allowing for a lot of that energetic or spiritual spring cleaning, if you will, that has been occurring for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. It is that amplification of the path work at this time, this point of observation that we are seeing that is requiring a lot of the energy to and I keep seeing here, one of the things we've been seeing that's been happening for the energy coming into the divine union has been a lot of that energetic reprioritization, if you will, in relationality to what you feel like you can energetically do at this time. Masculine and feminine energy, being able to see the result of a lot of that work that we've been seeing that you've been doing, a lot of that breakthrough energy effectively happening right now. And one of the things that we're seeing here that is almost allowing this, is that moment of catharsis that is almost that, I told you, that energetic tap on the shoulder saying, see, I told you, just push through a little bit more. This is what we were energetically trying to say to one another. So even now, being able to observe that to a certain degree, this is what is allowing a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency to feel that amplification of all of the path work that we've been seeing that's been resulting up until this moment. And even now, for the energy of the divine union frequency, it does feel like some kind of energetic extension in relationality to what you're seeing those results on right now versus what you feel like you're still in that space or place of waiting on. But even now, we see that a lot of it is like that sense of catharsis and that sense of reaffirming to one another that you're moving forward in the direction that you've effectively like aligned to. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. What did I say? This is beautiful. We're seeing that a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency is really focusing with a lot of care and intentionality on the fruits of the labor right now. We're seeing that for masculine and feminine energy right now, being able to ascertain, being able to assert and see what feels like it is coming through in a space or place of productivity, what feels like it is providing that sense of assurance. Even now, we see that for a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency, this is that affirmation. And what we like about this right now is it's not just the fact that the energy in this modality is reaffirming to one another the path work in this modality, it's also being able to see energetic results. Right? This is the energy that's almost feeling re-empowered or reinvigorated in relation to the direction that you're moving towards right now, because this is that moment that almost feels like that point of energetic productivity that's coming into play. Masculine and feminine energy right now, being able to work through that, it's going to feel like that sense. I want to put it like this. The best way I can describe this, it's the energy of catharsis, right? It's that energy, and it doesn't feel like that path of elation. It doesn't feel like that like firework energy. It's almost that feeling of, again, energetic stability that's coming into play that happens when we work in alignment with one another, and allows for that space or place of being able to put that like energy of like foundation and structure in relation to what you're doing and what you're providing. And what is the energy right now in the divine union doing? Acting as clear mirrors for the other. Right? Reaffirming to the energy right now, especially any of those spaces or places that someone is feeling energetic exhaustion. What is the energy doing right now in the divine union frequency? Almost saying to them, do you see something is changing here? Do you see you have to wait? You're planting seeds. When you plant a seed, you have to give it a little bit of time. So even now, that assertion point, being able to recognize the difference between what feels like it is coming into that space or place of productivity by seeing and having that point of observation, that is what is allowing a lot of the energy right now, not only to build that sense or space of emotional encouragement for one another, but almost, again, amplifying to a certain degree that sense of, again, feeling the affirmation and seeing a lot of the results of that tangible action at this time. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. What is creating that feeling of fundamental or foundational support for a lot of the energy that is going through that process of grieving, that energetic grieving process of whatever you're potentially letting go of as you move deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency? This is that modality that we are effectively seeing that is recognizing that when you receive, you also let go. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy right now that is coming into the divine union frequency, it is feeling like a spiritual or energetic maturation process, if you will. Because is this energy moving away from divine union at a time that they're either feeling that past version of self departing, or feeling some of the energy around them shifting, or even seeing some of that energy moving away from someone at a time that they're coming into divine union? No, the energy coming into divine union is almost further amplifying and saying, if something isn't in alignment as we're moving towards ourselves in this way, if there's something that is moving away from us at a time that we are building, then maybe that is the energetic equivalent of just coming into a point of observation, right? Because that is that moment of almost saying to oneself, what we're creating is going to necessarily require that you move away from something else. So even now, that sense of catharsis is coming into play for a lot of the energy that is moving deeper into divine union. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. This modality, this is again, the energy and separation, this is the new opportunities. These are the new connection points that you may be finding or experiencing, even as you do a lot of this work that is now feeling less like an act of separation and more as that moment of coming into a point of self-healing. These are the energies right now that have effectively found themselves on the healing journey by recalling a lot of their energy in this way. But what is this energy doing that's so important and valuable? Is this energy that is trying to recall their energy as a way of hurting another energetic connection? No, this is energy that has looked at path work, tried to ascertain if there's anything else that they can put forward that feels like it is positive, that feels like it is productive. And this is why we see even now a lot of that energy is feeling both the amplification of that sadness or that grief that comes from going forward with that healing gesture. Right? That is that commitment to the path work and looking at something and doing what the best that one can. Even now, this is that moment that feels a little bit tender, because this is that moment that you may be meeting or encountering new energy that is also in that process of healing. And even now, being able to ascertain that there's new opportunities at play here, new potential connections. Are these energies moving quickly? No, they're moving in a very slow fashion towards one another with the sense that they're both energetically healing. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Hermit in its reversal. And what is the affirmation that is energetically coming through right now for a lot of the energy that is working through this healing cycle? Even now, even if these aren't connections right now that are feeling like they're moving into that space of passion, it's that sense of feeling energetically that one is not alone, that is fulfilling and amplifying that sense of catharsis for a lot of the energy and separation. That ability of observing right now and at least seeing some evidence that you are not necessarily alone on that path work. That in itself is reaffirming and reinvigorating a lot of the energy that is moving forward in this way. Because that point of observation, that point of recognition is energetically what feels effectively like that sense of recognizing that point, that choice that you made, to energetically heal from something is effectively working. Because that's that moment of seeing and experiencing and saying to oneself, not only am I in that same modality, I know that there are others as well. So even now, a lot of the energy and separation is feeling a lot of the amplification of that, even as they move forward in that point of separation. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now. This observational point, if you will, this point of understanding, this point of assessment that we are seeing right now, even now, energetically, we see that for a lot of the energy moving into the divine union frequency, there's something I want to describe best as a heart-opening exercise that is effectively happening around some of these circumstances and situations. Why are we energetically seeing this right now? Well, for a lot of the energy in this modality, this ability to suddenly recognize and feel like you are moving into building in deeper into the heart of the divine union frequency, but seeing at the same time that either feels like something that you are releasing, that process of releasing that past version of self, or that process of energetically seeing some of the energy around you shift and change in a profound way as you go deeper into the heart of that divine union frequency. Is that energy feeling the anxiety or the abandonment wound triggering them to fall out of the divine union frequency? No. This is that moment that we're energetically seeing that almost feels like it is reaffirming a lot of the connection of the energy moving forward in this path work, because this is that feeling or sensation of building the connective tissue with another and saying, I feel it too. I recognize it too. You are not alone. I am with you. Masculine and feminine energy that are in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is that modality that feels even now like these expressions. Do you notice that the energy right now that's moving into the heart of the divine union frequency is now feeling very akin to the energy already in the heart of the divine union frequency? Because these energies are almost like, again, coalescing to a certain extent, because this is that reaffirmation that we're energetically seeing right now in relationality to some of that path work. Now, the only difference that we're energetically seeing right now for the energy in the divine union frequency has to do with the fact that this isn't feeling so much like a breakthrough point. This is a moment that may be feeling more like looking back, reassessing, recalibrating, being able to look at the old manifestation goals and to be able to rebuild them in a way that feels like it is productive right now. And that has required a little bit of energetic heaviness, because this is that moment that we're seeing that even now for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, that power of recognizing how much you have energetically changed is, again, energetically productive, but it also is something that is creating a space or place of a lot of contemplation for a lot of the energy in this modality right now, because that is the expression of, again, feeling the affirmation in relationality to the path work that you're doing at this time, even if it is potentially requiring that sense of letting go of the past version of self, right? This is that beautiful catharsis energy that we see in divine union that is almost like, again, that constant point of reassessing, allowing for that point or embodiment of change, giving that point of power in terms of how much you are changing, is effectively allowing the energy right now to feel that sense of confidence with the same affirmation that you're not alone as you do that work. This is energy that feels that uncertainty. They feel those doubts. They feel those fears that rise up. But what does that do? Does it separate the energy in this time? No, it builds it together stronger. It's that moment of basically saying, I am also carrying that weight. You are not alone. What has the energy coming into the divine union frequency been saying? I'm going to be there with you every step of the way. And in those spaces or places within that I cannot reach, that personal path work, know that I am with you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Cups in combination with our Eight of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal, masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. The most important thing that we're seeing right now has a lot to do with the prioritization of energy. I told you, one of the things that's very key right now for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, I just keep seeing this. There's a lot of plans. There's a lot of possibilities that we see that this energy is trying to navigate through. Right? Being able to refine on that path work, being able to ascertain, if you will, being able to choose that individuated direction, even now for the energy that is in the heart of the divine union frequency, it is difficult work, right? Because that is that amplification, if you will, of effectively looking at something and trying to ascertain how one can move forward by prioritizing when you're moving in counterpart with another. Energetically, we see even now that may be feeling, I have to say, for the energy in the divine union frequency, this may feel like some heavy stuff. That same heaviness that we've been seeing that's falling through the other parts of the frequencies, this is that moment that even now we're seeing it's allowing for that point of discernment in relationality to what that pathwork looks like, that feels like it is a little energetically difficult, because this is masculine and feminine energy right now trying to coalesce and come into that point of prioritization. But what are we seeing in the heart of the divine union frequency right now that may feel a little bit difficult energetically? We are seeing, as it were, this modality wherein masculine may have, again, something that feels like they're moving more in that space of wanting to move. Again, we keep seeing this happening. I'm not surprised. Masculine wants to take more of those like leaps of faith. Masculine wants to lead forth. Masculine wants to almost like allow, they're like, that childlike quality to guide forth right now. Feminine is moving more in that modality of wanting to stay planted, right? Wanting to stay patient. So even now, this could speak to some of the energy right now in the divine union frequency, having to navigate a little bit of discernment, because this is, again, being in the divine union frequency isn't always easy. That ability to recognize and come into a balance point, it can sometimes feel somewhat energetically frustrating. And we see even now that the ability of the energy to work through some of that more refined path work, it requires a lot of nuance. But these energies are, again, being very mindful of each other as they do so. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This observational point in itself is where we are seeing a lot of these energetic breakthroughs that are occurring right now, because a lot of the energy right now, particularly if this is the first time that you've been moving into the divine union frequency, this ability to understand and identify and work in that pathwork of, again, building forward with another. It may be feeling like you haven't energetically done this before, especially for a lot of the masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine, almost leading forth with feminine. One of the things that we saw energetically, I need to stress this, and this is a lot of the masculine energy coming into the divine union for the first time and having this eye-opening moment, which is the difference between a masculine feeling like when they work with a feminine, that isn't a masculine that's effectively having to ask permission from a feminine, but more feeling that amplification of wanting to energize and feel like you are in alignment. The difference and the power that you feel when two energies want to move together is that moment that we see that a lot of the masculine energy is even now coming into the divine union frequency and starting to understand better, and not necessarily wanting to come into that state or space of feeling like a child as they do so with the feminine, is again that moment. But both of these energies right now are trying to challenge their own past path work to help them recognize the difference in that sensation. So again, what is masculine doing in this moment? Masculine is almost looking towards the feminine, not from a space or place of seeking or needing permission to do something. This is the masculine energy that's almost, again, shedding their own armor, trying to come into that space or place of being authentic with the feminine in order to build together, in order to play together, right? When we create with someone, we have that moment of joy and that moment of compassion. So we see even now that a lot of the masculine energy reorienting into this modality, almost looking at what you're creating with feminine from a sense of play, right? Almost coming into that feeling of play. That in itself is what is allowing a lot of the energy right now of the masculine to feel reaffirmed in that pathwork. Because again, what is a feminine doing in that modality of seeing and receiving a masculine coming towards them in this way? Is this a feminine that feels, moves away from the masculine? No, this is the feminine feeling the full expression of love from a masculine, from a state of compassion, of feeling a masculine that comes forth to the feminine and says, I'm bringing this forward to you because I want to build with you. I want to be able to make these choices together. And so we see even now a lot of that energy is almost building this connective bridge between themselves right now with that with that understanding and almost a mutual observation of what they see that they're almost energetically having to release as they proceed forward on this path, right? Are they being scared away from divine union because what they feel like they're energetically leaving behind within themselves, or energetically leaving behind in relationality to seeing how some of the energy around them recalibrates or readjusts or reaccommodates, seeing and recognizing them coming into divine union? No, it's reaffirming the connection. It's reaffirming the connection. It's building a bridge with it. It's deepening the connection. Masculine and feminine energy that's in separation. This is the same energy in separation. What is happening right now with a lot of energy that's on this pathwork of solitude? Holding space for what they're leaving behind, what they feel like this is a healing gesture. They're meeting new energetic experiences on the way. They are building new energetic bridges with energy that is simultaneously and similarly doing the same path work. And what is that going to feel the amplification point on? Expressing those experiences and hearing me too. That I have also experienced that. That has also happened to me. In fact, we sound like we've experienced the same work. It's almost like and you see what's happening here? Do you see how these energies make these difficult choices and then they encounter each other having made those difficult choices? Do you understand how the manifestations work? Do you see how this is that path work? That as long as you're in alignment, you will move in alignment with the energy that is simultaneously and similarly doing that work. So we see even now a lot of that energy that's moving forward in this way. It is that moment that feels both heart opening, the expansion of what you being able to hold, have a place to be able to amplify that feeling of grief and loss, but also feeling the affirmation in terms of the path work that has led you in this direction. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Cups in combination with our Page of Wands. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with that Moon card energy. It's hard. It's energetically difficult. It's difficult work. It's difficult work doing the right thing as opposed to the easy thing. Healing is energetically hard. And even now, what we're effectively seeing is this is energy that moved forward on this path, feeling that anxiety or that amplification of saying, I'm choosing to be alone. But that wasn't energy that was saying, I'm choosing to be alone. This was the energetic equivalent of a lot of this energy in separation saying, I'm moving forward, choosing to do what I know is the right thing to do. Even if it is difficult, even if it is hard, even if I don't know what's on the other side, I'm making that intentional choice of doing what one needs to do. So even now, what is the energy experiencing that has gone forward in this path? Hi. Hello, you're finding someone in that same modality. You're experiencing and finding someone in that same space or place that's saying, I am also moving forward in this way. I'm also uncertain. I don't know what comes through on this. I don't know where the other side is, right? These are energies that are, again, they're like moving through. This is still a lot of that energy of like that breakthrough before the dawn, if you will, because that's that moment of affirming and saying, I don't know what's going forward. But again, I'm not moving towards my abandonment wound. I am facing my abandonment wound. I am moving forward uncertain of where it leads, because that is the movement of moving with that intentionality, with that purpose, with that internal certainty, utilizing that internal GPS system. Masculine and feminine energy, even now, still feeling that. Still feeling the weight of that type of energetic surrender, but feeling again the new shoots, those little springs of possibility that are starting to give them a sign of something that is moving in the right direction. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union. This is that modality that again may feel like that expansion. That's that moment that we almost have to say to ourselves, if I'm feeling so happy, why do I feel so sad right now? If I feel so joyous, where is this grief coming from? Because for a lot of the energy right now coming into the divine union frequency, this is either the amplification of looking back on past path work, fully being able to recognize and ascertain how much it took, what you had to let go of to be able to find this for yourself, the ability to recognize and hold that point of power and healing on one's own energetic journey, while also, again, or this moment or experience of feeling energy that is departing from you, almost tangibly departing from you at a time that you're recognizing or feeling that this should be a moment or modality of joy. That observation point is, again, creating a level or degree of personal insight for a lot of energy right now that is experiencing that. And that is that modality of almost, again, utilizing one's powers of observation to feel, again, either the interior weight of what you are experiencing and understanding, or that point of understanding in relationalities to some of the connections around you, if they're departing at a time that you feel like there should be this amplification of joy. Continuing to get clarification on this, masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union frequency. This observational point, this energetic effort, if you will, it feels like a lot of heaviness here. There's a lot of potential uncertainty that a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency is also experiencing right now. Why? This is energy in the heart of the divine union frequency right now that is doing a lot of heavy energetic path work. Even now, we are recognizing and identifying to a certain extent that a lot of the energy in this point has that power of observation, both in relationality to how much you have energetically changed since coming into the divine union frequency. What is energetically or effectively occurring right now for a lot of the energy that is in the divine union frequency? Having that point and that power of seeing how much you've changed even while being in the frequency itself, it creates that moment of energetic unpacking, if you will. It creates that moment that almost feels like a lot of this becoming that internal journey within the self, as it were. Because even now, we see that this ability right now of coming into connection with another energy, being able to work with counterpart energy, being able to refine your own path work, it is this moment that almost feels both energetically expansive, but also even now, like almost a little bit constrictive, right? It's that moment of feeling large, but also feeling small at the same time, because we see here that this is that modality or this moment that we see that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency is potentially having a lot of this path work in relationality to better trying to understand the self, to be able to come into an even more refined aspect in terms of how to be able to energetically move going forward that feels like it is going to be the most streamlined, feeling like that point that's allowing you to really like push through and being able to conserve one's own energy, being able to amplify that sense of being able to support the other is creating a sense of having to recognize and identify how that impacts your own self. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy in this modality right now, this is difficult work, but it's creating a lot of understanding of self in the process. So a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency, experiencing a lot of those fundamental breakthroughs in the self, but they're hard, right? This is going into parts of your own self that you may not necessarily have had an opportunity to really investigate. So we see even now that ability to come into that and arrive forth with new ideas, new possibilities, new plans. That is even further amplifying the alignment that we're seeing here. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Wands in combination with our Ace of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Chariot energy. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is the heaviness. This is the energetic heaviness that we sometimes see that is experienced in the divine union frequency. Sometimes it can feel like herding cats, right? Because that's that moment of working in alignment with another can sometimes feel energetically frustrating. Even now we see that a little bit of that difference between masculine and feminine right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What are we seeing is the expression of the energy right now in the divine union frequency. What are these differences here? Look at these energetic differences. We've got feminine energy here that is feeling this moment of really ascertaining and assessing feelings. Being in the heart of the divine union frequency right now is almost energetically expanding the feminine in that modality of wanting to be sedentary, not wanting to like rock the boat, if you will. What's masculine doing? Masculine saying, let's go on an adventure, right? Do you see these two energies in the divine union frequency right now? Can you see what may be creating that space or place that may feel like a little bit difficult right now in terms of experiencing the fact that being in the heart of the divine union frequency is bringing out different energetic qualities in the energy, right? This is that moment that even now we see may require a little bit of refinement because these energies may want to move in different ways right now. Masculine wanting to lead forth, feminine wanting to stay, masculine wanting to stay, go, feminine wanting to stay here. That is that moment that may feel a little bit frustrating. masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. You know, are you utilizing that to like step apart? No. In fact, what we may be seeing right now is this moment that is requiring a lot of that heavy energetic work to be able to recognize what you feel like you want to do together versus what you feel like you need to do separate, right? That's almost like what we're seeing right now that is potentially happening in relationality to the energy and the frequency. It may be feeling like a lot of energetic path work. I keep telling you, a lot of the work that we're seeing right now for the energy in the heart of the divine union has a lot to do with the laying out of plans, right? Masculine may be laying out a lot of those plans towards the feminine to see the feminine energy's own sense of like refining and defining that level or degree of comfort. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is that breakthrough energy. This is that breakthrough energy because this is the moment for a lot of the masculine energy right now coming into the divine union. This is that moment that, again, you may be recognizing and understanding things about your own self or path work of those around you that you didn't necessarily recognize or identify prior to being in this modality. Because this is, again, this is a masculine energy. What is this masculine energy doing right now, even at a moment that you're feeling that release, you're feeling that grief from like the past sense experience of self, or feeling some of the energy shifting around you as you move into divine union? Where's masculine's concentration on? The feminine. This is a masculine that's learned the power of prioritization of the connection with feminine, even in the midst of anything around them that feels like it creates that sense of energetic rockiness, be it their own internal abandonment wound, or be it the sensation of seeing the rejuggling of the energy around you as you move into divine union. So a lot of this energy of masculine is almost, again, this is building that sense of, this is building further connection to connective tissue between a masculine and a feminine in this way. Potentially, and particularly if this is a feminine, that as the masculine, articulates on this, the feminine is able to energetically meet the masculine, if you will. This is almost like the feminine saying I recognize, I identify, I can see what you're seeing. I can energetically help you in this way. So even now we see that a lot of that work is reaffirming the commitment of the energy and the directionality that they're moving towards right now. And that is the power of being able to navigate through one's own abandonment wound. Not allowing yourself to self-sabotage, or not allowing yourself to get knocked off your own path. Masculine and feminine energy that is moving in separation right now, that modality, that ability of being able to ascertain, if you will, even now are these energies are feeling that sense of grief. They're feeling that sense of loss. They're feeling that weight of what they're potentially or energetically leaving behind right now. But what is this energy doing to reaffirm that feeling? They're asking themselves in separation, is there anything else I could have done? Is there anything else through which I could have healed something? And if the energy says, I've done everything I can energetically do, and even now this is a gesture of healing. This is energy that's not waiting for someone to chase after them in separation. This is energy that's almost saying, I feel confident in the fact that I'm doing the right thing. So even now, that is the energy that we are seeing effectively, that is amplifying that sense of heaviness, right? That sense, that gravitas of feeling like one is doing what one must do, and starting to see those new sparks of connection on the way. What do those new sparks of connection look like for a lot of the energy doing this? That feeling or that affirmation of building connections with energy that is likewise on the path, that is amplifying and saying, you're not alone. I've gone through it too. I've also experienced that. You're not alone. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Pentacles in combination with our Hermit in its reversal. Two cards to clarify. We have here, look at this beautiful energy. This is the Five of Wands in combination with the the Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with the Ten of Swords in its reversal. What is that energetic equivalent that we are seeing at this time. This is that energetic equivalent of the pathwork of these energies, even in separation right now, having that moment of being able to look at something and feel like they're almost in that sense of limbo. Why? Because this is energy that's saying to themselves, do I feel the weight of the pathwork that has led me into separation? Yes. Do I want to go energetically back there? No. Right? This is the energy going, I can feel the expression of what I am experiencing. I can feel the grief of what I aspired for. And at the same time, that can work as the affirmation of not wanting to go back to a space or place that caused that sense of injury. But at the same time, this is the energy saying, I am coming back up. I am rebirthing. This is that phoenix out of the ash, if you will, moment of an energy saying, I can see that moment. And almost again, for a lot of the energy right now, this is that modality of potentially experiencing something from the past, still holding space from it, and almost feeling your rebirth occurring and saying, oh, I can't go back now because that rebirth moment is almost like started to take root, right? Like when you feel that shift happening, that's that moment that it almost feels like the scales have tipped forward, because now it's almost that moment that things are just energetically happening for a lot of the energy in separation. That's almost like the energy itself isn't trying to like having to push through as much. It's almost that moment of just allowing these things to occur. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency right now. What are we effectively seeing? This modality is, again, that feeling or that sensation of observing. What's interesting for a lot of the energy right now that is in the divine union, coming into the divine union frequency, this is this modality that we actually see that almost feels like a little bit of that hands-off approach that's happening right now for a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency. Seeing either, again, feeling that energetic shift within, or feeling and experiencing and seeing that energetic shift without at a time that you're building forth into the frequency. It's almost that moment of saying, well, it wasn't my intention for something to happen. It wasn't my intention for this to occur. It wasn't my intention for that. But this is almost that moment of just observing and seeing and feeling like that point of insight. Is the energy chasing after anything that feels like it's moving away from them at a time that they are entering the divine union frequency? No. I told you the energy is almost energetically just observing that that is the case and building their insight as they will, like almost taking note of it to a certain extent is what we're basically seeing. For a lot of the energy right now coming into the divine union frequency, it's almost that moment. It's just like feeling and looking at something and saying, well, noted. Now, either that's happening on the externalized aspect of seeing a lot of the energy around you shift as you enter divine union, but not letting it pull you out, not chasing after the abandonment wound, or this is energy feeling that within. Maybe potentially even looking at pathwork in the past wherein you may have inadvertently pulled yourself out of divine union at a time that you were experiencing a moment of personal breakthrough, because the feeling of personal breakthrough frightened you and you returned back to what felt comfortable. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Pentacles in combination, while for masculine and feminine energy that's in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is that modality that is the expression and the expansion of how far you've come in the journey of being in divine union. The energy in the divine union frequency, that's why this is harder if you're coming into the divine union frequency, because like it's not like you can energetically go back. Right? The energy in the heart of the divine union frequency has observed that they've changed enough that even now energetically there isn't anything effectively going back to, because this is that moment that for the energy of the divine union frequency, that is that recommitment forward, if you will, because this is that moment of, again, that sense of expansion is one that even now the expression for the energy in the divine union frequency may be most amplified in that sensation of uncertainty in relationality to like what happens next. Because we see even now that for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, this modality, this being able to push each other, this being able to challenge one another, it is almost, again, almost making you energetically move into spaces or places that can feel a little energetically difficult, right? Because it's that moment, I told you, that feeling of pushing, I want to say like pushing one's own self, right? What occurs when we push one's own self out of our own comfort zone? There's that moment that always feels like a little bit of that uncertainty, because when you push out of your own comfort zone, you don't know what to expect next. So what is the energy right now in the divine union frequency saying to each other? If you feel like that, we're probably doing the right thing. We're probably moving in the right direction. We're probably challenging each other. We're probably motivating each other, right? So even now, for a lot of the energy in this modality right now, that sense of trying to hit, I want to say, that energetic sweet spot in wanting to push someone forward, but not wanting someone to like push themselves too far or push themselves too hard, doing that to kind of bring out the best version of self. This is a lot of that refining of path that we're seeing right now for a lot of the energy in the frequency. And even now, that's why we see that it's requiring a lot of that internal investigation and that internal exploration in relationality to what that looks like in terms of like how you move forward at this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with the Moon card. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Wands, masculine and feminine energy. When you're moving in divine union like this, it can feel a little confusing at times, right? Because this is that moment that sometimes you feel when you're in that point of like coming into that sense of like refocusing, coming into that sense of like prioritization, coming into that sense of refining your own path, that have those moments of saying, I don't know what I'm exactly doing, but maybe that's the place I need to be, right? Finding that moment of saying like there's that uncertainty point, that point of like being able to push through a little bit with that sense of uncertainty, and almost someone saying if you're feeling that uncertainty, maybe that's exactly where you need to be, right? That's that moment that and what is the energy right now in the divine union frequency saying to one another? And even when you're not certain, I am there with you. I am doing that same work. That is that modality that is almost saying to each other, I know you may be feeling that internally right now, but the energy, what is the energy of the counterpart saying? For those points when you're feeling uncertain, I'm here to help guide you. For those moments that you start to feel like you're uncertain, I'm also here. I'm also here to provide that clear mirror of guidance to help you feel reaffirmed on your own path. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This modality, this observational point is feeling like the fermentation, like the fermenting of a lot of the energy that is coalescing. And it's that moment that we see that a lot of the energy that is coming into the divine union frequency is now having that breakthrough moment in understanding that the divine union frequency basically means you are combining your path with another. You're making that intentional choice. It's not always necessarily easy, but the ability to recognize, the ability to identify, the ability to do that to a certain extent, that is that moment of facing it together. Even in that moment of uncertainty, same energy that we're seeing that's already in the heart of the divine union. Saying again, we're both feeling a little bit of that uncertainty. We're feeling that counterpart energy of not knowing what that looks like because you're creating the shape of it together. So we see that for a lot of the energy right now entering the divine union frequency, a lot of potential plans being made, a lot of articulating on what that aspired long-term mutual path work looks like to help pave the way for any of the uncertainty that you may be currently experiencing, seeing some of the shift that's happening around you right now as you move into the divine union. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is that modality that may feel that point of, again, I want to define this as almost that dark night of the soul energy. A lot of the energy that was moving forward in this way, you were feeling that sense of uncertainty, that sense of confusion, even that sense of being energetically pulled back to something that you know wasn't necessarily coming into a space or place of healing. So what we effectively see energetically for a lot of the energy right now, you're still going through that grieving process. You're still parsing through why something couldn't come into a healing space or place, even as you were trying to energetically give as much as you could to it. But that ability to effectively, again, why is the energy in separation doing that? Because that is energy that is taking personal accountability on something that was not working, to be able to ascertain and ask themselves, is there anything else I could have done? Is there anything else I could have done? And what is the energy right now, even as they're building those new experiences, even as they're starting to see that energetic support around them of others who are also on that path? The energy is still asking themselves, and almost again reaffirming and saying, no, in fact, the further I get, the more I feel like I did not only everything I could do, but potentially even more than I could do, right? That is that modality right now, that energy is almost getting better perspective on what they've moved away from, the further that they energetically get from it, right? It's like getting out of someone, like getting out of like the harmful orbit of something that felt like it wasn't necessarily serving you, right? It's like that clarity of focus that comes through that helps you gain a better sense of perspective. And for a lot of the energy experiencing this right now, you're not just having this by yourself, you're having it with some energies of new energetic connections that you're making that are helping you build that sense of clarity and perspective. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Moon card in combination with our Chariot card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. And this is why we even see right now, we've got a lot of this energy. I want to say this feels a little bit like that karmic echo, if you will. Why did I tell you that a lot of the energy right now is feeling those moments of the past kind of rising back up, right? For a lot of the energy in separation, the difference or the key fundamental aspect here for a lot of the energy that is moving, like, and I have to say, for a lot of the energy in separation right now, I have to say being able to ground right now is really important, because what's happening right now is I see a lot of new energetic connections that are happening for a lot of the energy in separation at the same time as a lot of memories from the past are potentially rising up. What occurs in these moments? Why? There's almost this energy I'm seeing here that is feeling, I'm seeing here, they're getting energetically triggered. What do we mean by energetically triggered? It's suddenly experiencing something in the presence that reminds you of something that occurred in the past, right? That is the karmic trigger that gets put. And when you have those moments, sometimes those things come up at a time when things are going really well, because that is the karmic clearing out of a cycle to show you what was karmically your burden in those situations versus what may have been impressed upon you in terms of feeling the need or the desire of how things could be different depending on the energy that is around you at a time that you try to do something, right? That is the difference between healthy karma and learning a karmic lesson. Karma comes in two different forms. Karma comes in the form of, again, either identifying something that you could have done differently versus karma giving you a lesson and saying what you did in that moment was not the wrong thing. You were just in the wrong place. You were around the wrong energy. I'm trying to show you something by bringing it back up to you at a time to see and show you how things could happen differently if you were just in the right energetic scenario for them to do so. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy right now, this is that moment in separation that is the amplification of either someone recognizing an opportunity to do something different that feels very similar to something that happened in the past, or it is a moment of doing something, reaffirming what you would have done in the past and seeing a different outcome that releases a karmic burden that you may have been carrying that was not yours to carry. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union. This is that modality that is building this sense of, again, the same sense of understanding. The same sense of understanding effectively in relationality to your own path. Because what we see that for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, that modality of coming into divine union, it doesn't mean that you energetically leave the past behind. It's that moment of suddenly realizing that you have to look at the whole past experience with a new set of eyes. That's the perceptual shift that you suddenly say, I can't leave that. It's not that I'm taking that, I'm putting that book away. I have to look back on that book with a whole new sense of perspective, because that's that moment that you realize that your perspective of moving with another has energetically changed your opinion and perspective on anything that may have come before. Masculine and feminine energy that is in the divine union frequency, working through this right now, the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this modality, this experience, this is one that we see even now is feeling like that moment of energetically pushing one another. Why are we energetically pushing one another here? Because this is the energy that, again, is trying to find what happens when you're energetically working on being a clear mirror to another. You're holding forth not your aspiration for them, their aspiration for themselves. These energies are, again, almost challenging each other in this way. Not so far that they feel energetically overwhelmed, but almost challenging themselves into that space or place of uncertainty to almost energetically say to themselves, what happens if I push a little further? What happens if I move forward in this way? What happens if I become that higher version of self? So we see even now that is almost like that sense of like energetically challenging supportive space that happens in the divine union frequency that can feel a little difficult, but also can feel very empowering so long as you've navigated your abandonment wounds. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Chariot in combination with our 10 of Swords in its reversal, in combination with our 5 of Swords. Okay? One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our King of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This energetic moment we're seeing here even now for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency, it is feeling like a point that is energetically challenging to a certain degree. Why? Because for masculine and feminine energy, it is requiring this point of reconsideration, particularly in relation to past experiences, right? We see even now that there's a lot of modality that's rising right now around masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to in relation to what that feels like. For the masculine specifically, one of the things that we are seeing is this is that moment that feels like it is creating a space or place. How do I express this right now? There's something really important right now about masculine doing a lot of path work in the divine union frequency, in recognizing how their past experiences may have limited them, is what we're seeing. A lot of this right now is almost coming through to a certain degree of masculine really doing a lot of work in the energetic pathway of building with feminine that is almost requiring an intense amount of recalibration for the masculine energy in relationality to how they may have effectively navigated or built forth the feminine in the past. So even now, it's very challenging for some of the masculine energy that's going through this right now. And I want you to be very mindful of this, is a lot of the masculine energy doing this work feels like they're breaking the template in relationality to how they felt like they were taught, or how they were told that one was supposed to navigate with the feminine. This is a lot. This is why we see even now for a lot of the masculine energy, any feminine, if you find masculine energy doing this work, like just give them a hug and give them some water, because that's very hard path work to be able to navigate here, right? That's difficult, because that's masculine energy literally trying to build their own new template in relationality to what that experience with feminine should be based upon. That's why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy that's moving in the divine union frequency, it feels like the removal of a burden, but almost to such an extent that it can feel a little confusing. It can feel a little triggering, because this is the masculine energy that's almost like trying to like figure it out as they go without being able to look around them at the energy for some guidance points, right? Like that's that energy of like creating as you go. Masculine, feminine energy in this modality right now, you may observe and see a masculine that's in that modality, and almost what's the feminine energy saying to the masculine in that modality? If you feel like that, if you articulate on that, then congratulations, you're doing the right work. That's exactly why the feminine energy may feel that sense of safety or security from a masculine that moves forward in that way. Because this is a masculine energy that's come into a state or space of assessing and recognizing their own self enough that what are they doing? They're doing what feminine's really good at, which is like feminine being like, yeah, I spend all of my time energetically considering how I feel. I spend all of my time looking at it and observing it to ascertain if it's the right way to go. So what is happening right now for a lot of the energy that's experiencing this right now? They're taking pages from each other's book and they're able to support each other in that modality. Even now, this is the feminine energy that's almost saying to a masculine that's doubting themselves in this work, your ability to question oneself is the amplification of you staying on a path of integrity. Because an energy that questions oneself is an energy that doesn't move from a state of righteousness. And an energy that doesn't move from a state of righteousness is an energy that is continually moving forward with a state of empathy and compassion. So even now we see that a lot of the feminine energy observing that is saying to masculine, that is a sign that you are on the right path. Don't let that be a sign to you of being like that uncertainty is the path work. For masculine, feeling and receiving that lending of support from a feminine, that is the masculine, again, challenging themselves, pushing themselves in those spaces or places, even if it is energetically difficult. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this modality, this ability of masculine, potentially even now, feeling some energetic shift, either again, on their own internal pathwork as they come into divine union, or this point of observation and seeing some energy that is moving away from them at a time of coming into divine union. This is some breakthrough energy, because this is masculine energy that's receiving that point of breakthrough in terms of clarity on their own self, on what it feels like and what you leave behind when you move with an intensity and intentionality of purpose. And that's either happening from the perspective of the past self, looking back at the past self and saying, I was standing in my own way, I couldn't even see it. Or a masculine energy looking around at some of the energy around them and saying, why are you standing in my way? Right? That's really like kind of the two modalities that we see a lot of the energy of the masculine coming into divine union saying, which is, why was I standing in my own way? Or why are you standing in my own way, in my way? So we see even now a lot of that masculine energy building that sense, trying to do the best of building that sense of compassion right now is almost creating a space or place of masculine, not letting yourself respond to a trigger. Because this is almost creating for a lot of the masculine energy, feeling some of that like abandonment wound coming up in the sense of kind of wanting to take some kind of like, what happens when you see something that feels like it's moving in opposition to you in your own self? You want to get angry at your own self. You can't do that. You got to move at a state and space of compassion for the past self. Or for the energy of the masculine, feeling that in an external way right now, you can't do that. That's going to get you off your course. So for a lot of the masculine energy, that ability to just observe something but not allow yourself to react is, again, almost an expression of you coming into that better sense of self and understanding, but almost, again, seeing how coming into divine union is almost immediately impacting and changing, because it's almost that moment of saying, were it not for the divine union, I might move in a very different direction right now. Feminine energy, seeing a masculine going through that process, potentially even working through it with them, that's a feminine energy building a sense of security that of a masculine that truly intends and has that sense of intentionality in relationality to wanting to come into divine union, because this is a masculine energy that doesn't go running off whenever someone triggers an abandonment wound around them. This is a masculine energy that, again, doesn't even stand in their own way, even when they may feel like they want to do something that would almost distract them from their purpose. This is, again, the masculine saying, this is a feminine seeing a masculine saying, this is a masculine that knows how to take an arrow and doesn't go running off to figure out who shot him with the arrow. This masculine energy just pulls it out and continues forward, because this is a masculine energy that what? Prioritizes the connection with the feminine. Prioritizes the connection with the feminine. Prioritizes the connection with the feminine, even against their baser instincts when they take an energetic or egotistic hit, right? Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is that modality that we're seeing here, that a lot of the energy, both masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, are building this point of deep observation in relationality as they move forward from this point. A lot of the energy right now in separation almost is getting that space of having enough distance from a situation or circumstance that you're maybe even recognizing that your own distance from something right now. Some of the new energy around you is giving you a new sense of perspective on what may have occurred that wasn't in alignment. For a lot of the energy in separation right now, this could be the ascertaining of the real problem that you couldn't see because you were too energetically close to it, right? This is that energy that is like, wow, you know, the further I get from here, that was a mess. I can totally see, it was even worse. You know what I mean? For a lot of the energy in this modality, it will have a little bit of a different impact right now for masculine and feminine. For masculine, this could be a lot of the masculine energy leading forth right now, doing that hard work, being vulnerable, immediately seeing the results of that. That is, again, creating that sense of like looking back at the past self and being like, wow, I was really off the mark in some places. While for feminine, this could be that same modality of potentially looking at something that you were trying to heal with a masculine and feeling like you're getting even more perspective on like the inability of that masculine to heal right now, because again, you've got energy of healed masculine that's popping up around you right now that's showing you in very tangible ways like what it looks like when someone's trying to do that level or degree of energetic work. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Wands in combination with our Four of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Wands. Masculine and feminine energy right now. In the divine union frequency, this is that modality that feels very much like this sense. This is, I have to say, a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency is working through very much what they aspire and desire on a personal level, and how to navigate that in the modality of the divine union, right? We're seeing here there's a lot of fine tuning that's happening right now in the divine union frequency that is effectively looking right now and asking oneself, because we see even now there's something about the energy being in the divine union frequency, that observation of experiencing how much one has changed from the time that you've entered it to where you are now, to be able to recognize and amplify. Even now, I told you this energy is helping each other see patterns. They're helping each other see patterns. Why do we show why do we show one another our patterns? Do we do that, right? Because that's that gift, right? The energy, I have to stress this, positive energy will always be willing to show you a pattern. Unhealthy energy will never show you a pattern within yourself, because they'll want to just commodify on it. So we see even now that for that ability for the energy to show someone, to be able to show that ability to someone, to be able to say to someone, do you recognize you have a habit of doing this? Do you recognize that sometimes you do that? Do you recognize that here again, I love you. You may be standing in your own way in this space or place. That ability to effectively show something to someone, even now, in the heart of the divine union frequency, it is allowing that point of reassessing. It is allowing that point of recalibration. It is allowing that ability to give someone an opportunity of having that shift in perspective that effectively or energetically allows them to, and again, I'm not saying, we're not, and I have to stress this, okay, because we're seeing here, it's not that patterns are unhealthy, but the ability to make the choice in terms of what feels like it is productive versus what feels like it is effectively limiting right now is a lot of the work that we see that is occurring right now in relationality to how the energy is working with each other to say, and this is what's beautiful, this is the act of compassion for the energy right now. This is the energy almost pouring forth and saying, like, I'm not saying this because you have to change. I'm giving it to you to do with what you will, right? Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This is the energetic change of perception you have when suddenly you're working and you're viewing and you're seeing things from the eyes of counterpart, that effectively makes you reassess everything that you may have felt or thought or conceived of prior to being in that point of energetic or spiritual expansion. That's that moment of having that point or that empowerment point that effectively like rises up, if you will, that like is the amplification of clarity in terms of what feels like it is building that pathwork of clarity and understanding. And even now we see that a lot of the energy right now coming through with this is like a lot of that breakthrough point is not that moment that we see. A lot of the energy right now has done a lot of work in healing their own abandonment wounds, because feeling that sense of understanding, that's that moment of being able to break through your own, again, either unhealed cycles that may have pulled you out of divine union frequency at times that you were experiencing the intensity of a breakthrough, or for a lot of the energy in this modality, that observational point in the energy around you and how they move and react in relationality to you coming into divine union. It's just like a lot of clarification right now in relationality to cycles that are occurring right now for a lot of the energy coming into divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is the work that you're doing. I told you, you put the healing back on yourself the minute you moved away from something. You're doing the same exact work to a certain extent. The importance and the power here is not the fact that a lot of the energy is experiencing some of those moments from the past coming back up, but this is the energy right now that is doing that heavy path work in seeing and experiencing them coming up, but not just allowing you to be into a space or place of reacting and doing the thing that you might normally always do. It's that ability to observe and catch yourself and say, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. Am I moving with intention, or am I standing in my own way? And again, even now we see that a lot of that energy, being able to assess that, is helping the energy ascertain and say to themselves, again, that gift being one where a point of the present is building that bridge to recognizing things from the past. This is that moment of the past coming through and looking at the past with new eyes. And that is either creating a moment right now. And again, what is the energy looking at? This is almost the energy doing that, continuing to do that energetic healing to a certain extent, looking at something and saying, was there anything else I could do? No. Oh, maybe there was. Right? That is that differentiation point that changes pattern to pattern right now in someone either feeling, like I said, the two different modalities that are happening right now for the energy that are in separation, which is, again, experiencing a moment that feels like a breakthrough in terms of having something from the past rise back up and doing something different that you feel like is in better alignment with you, or having a moment from the past that did not work out the way that you aspired and desired, but feeling focused, feeling that intentionality, feeling like I'm doing the same thing and I'm seeing different results. That is the act of karmic clearing, by being able to forgive yourself the burden on why something may not have moved forward in the right way, even if you were bringing your full intentionality and integrity to the way that you were moving. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Swords in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now with, we've got here our Nine of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine, in the separation, which is really now, like I'm seeing here, this feels less like an act of separation and just more being in that moment of solitude. Because a lot of this energy right now, again, that feeling, that is that motivational factor that we see right now, that for a lot of the feminine energy, again, if this is feminine energy that's coming into a healing gesture here, if this is feminine energy that's feeling some energetic connection coming back forward in relationality to a masculine that they may have been only building a passionate connection with, never seeing the robustness of that connection opening or unfolding to one that felt like it was compassionate or loving, but was just based on the passionate connection. This is that modality of the feminine looking at something and saying, it's that point of recalibration, saying, is there anything else I can do? No. Is there anything I can do? No. This is the feminine energy saying, I accept the feeling of feeling that connection point, but also asserting and saying, I don't want to put my energy to something that feels like it's unhealed. This is almost the feminine energy coming into that process that as this comes up, the feminine energy says, no, I recall my energy. I recall my energy. I recall my energy. Because this is that moment of the feminine, again, asking itself and saying, it's not about whether there's a connection there, it's whether there's an observation of whether something wants to come into a state or space of healing, right? So if the feminine doesn't see that ability of the energy coming into the space of healing, the feminine's going, I'm returning it back to sender. I'm bringing my healing back to me. I'm healing myself from the connection. I'm healing myself from the connection. Masculine energy, this is a modality where, again, if you were moved into a space or place of being in a point of separation right now because you yourself felt like, look at this masculine energy and separation right now. This is the masculine energy feeling the desire, having that same point. Remember how the masculine energy, all the energy having that point of trying to break through the template of what they were told to do in terms of being a masculine versus building that template for yourself right now. If this is masculine energy that's trying to lead forth to feminine by being honest, by being open, recognizing that when we build a wall of illusion around feminine, the only place we do, we create a fake castle around ourselves. This is masculine energy that's almost, again, feeling that desire to, feeling that need to, feeling that little voice that says, oh, it'd be so much easier if I just didn't do this work. It would be so much easier if I just, told them what they wanted to hear. It'd be so much easier. And masculine going, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I need to be able to be open with feminine. I need to be able to build forth in this way. If I build a world of illusion around feminine, I only build it around myself. I only build it around myself. I'm only lying to myself. The only way to move forward with feminine is to lead forward with honesty, is to lead forward with clarity. Because when I don't do that, I only hurt myself. So even now we see that a lot of this masculine energy right now, this is that modality of experiencing these. And for a lot of the masculine energy, there could be a moment that you're seeing some of this energetic shift in the connection that you're having with feminine. And a lot of it could be feeling of, again, looking at the past version of self and feeling some of that frustration, feeling some of that energetic anger. But if you're feeling that, that's beautiful, because that's that moment of, again, looking and recognizing that you can look back on your path work and you got some notes. You're moving into that space or place of evolving, of changing. And whenever we do that, that's a moment we look back at the past self and say, I wish I could give you what I have now. I wish I could give it to you more than anything possible. But I'm going to live my life now to honor what I couldn't give you then. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. Masculine coming into the divine union frequency is having the same exact feeling right now as the energy in separation. The same exact feeling. Even now, coming into divine union, this could feel very energetically heavy for a masculine, because this heightened perception, as it were, builds a sense of clarity on your own path work that can at times feel very energetically devastating. That's why I'm saying, again, for the masculine energy that's experiencing this right now, allow that to be the breakthrough of giving yourself some point of compassion and grace, recognizing that past version of self had to carry you forward to this point, right? So no matter how much you want to be mad at that past version of self, also mission accomplished, right? You have to give that. You have to recognize it. If you're upset about it, that's good, because that means you're holding yourself to a higher standard. So coming into that point and looking almost at the past self masculine and saying, like, I forgive you. You did the best that you could. It doesn't mean that I take accountability. Like, that's that moment that feels like the balance point of saying, like, I feel like I need to take accountability for someone I no longer am. If you move into a state or space where you can say to yourself, I feel like I need to take accountability for a person I no longer am, well, congratulations, you're on that healing journey. So we see that for a lot of the masculine energy, the most important thing though is it's also changing some of the masculine energy's perception around other masculine, right? Because this is a masculine energy almost again coming into the divine union frequency and feeling like, you know, some problems gone, new problems rise up. Some problems gone, new problems rise up. But again, in a way, a lot of that is because the masculine is now coming into some of the pathwork of the feminine. The feminine feeling that masculine, seeing that masculine, coming to that point of questioning, self-doubt, even eventually even talking about their own past pathwork, where they may be holding themselves at a higher level of accountability for their actions. This is feminine energy saying you're doing great. You're doing just great. You're doing your ability to do this. Congratulations. You just knocked out your father, your grandfather. You just did, you know how long, it's like this energy going, this is hard. Like you're working, you're doing this in a way that like you're pushing against what you know into a realm that is so difficult, but also beautiful for that reason. So even for masculine and feminine, in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is that modality that we're also seeing as well. A lot of the masculine energy right now, a lot of things from the past rising up to the surface, a lot of this work coming through right now, a lot of anxieties, a lot of fears coming up potentially right now for a lot of the masculine energy. What is the feminine energy doing right now to help with the masculine on that? In energetic support. Energetic support. You're not alone. I've got you. You're not going to be alone in this. We're doing this together. That's the counterpart energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For a lot of the masculine energy right now, some of this has to do with that feeling of like looking back at the past, wanting to do things differently, asserting and assessing and saying to oneself, like, I can't change the past. All I can do is make that point of accommodation in relation to how you move forward. Right? So even now for a lot of the feminine energy, this is almost feminine energy helping masculine through this to a certain extent and saying, if you're doing that, then you're healing. Like that in itself is a sign that you are in that state or space of healing. So for feminine energy experiencing and seeing that to a certain extent on the part of another masculine, like a part of the counterpart masculine energy, this is that modality of feminine almost giving them that point of support, right? Even while the feminine is doing a lot of the similar work right now, but that's in relationality to a lot of the unhealed masculine energy that they may have had to encounter in their own experience. So we see even now a lot of this energetic work that's effectively or energetically coming through right now. And a lot of it right now for the energy in the divine union frequency has to do with like that question or that space or place of like, I want to say like energetic or spiritual bandwidth. Like the energy in the divine union frequency only has so much bandwidth to give around. So even now, it almost feels like a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency is working through how best to navigate, like how to navigate that, like I want to say that like energetic or spiritual deficit in relationality to what you aspire and desire to do versus what you can like effectively or energetically take on. Final card for today's spread between our 4 of Cups and our 9 of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Look at this. Beautiful, beautiful energy. I mean, if I could not choose a better card for us to be ending our equinox reading on right now. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. What did we say is effectively energetically happening right now? I told you this is some of that energetic or spiritual spring cleaning that is happening right now. And some of it is requiring a lot of assessment in relationality to what you may have felt have become habitual, things that have become habitual, as opposed and being able to ascertain and look at what is habitual, to ask oneself, is it productive or is it energetically limiting right now? This ability to look at things and almost again, the energy of the divine union, helping someone build that point of perspective is allowing the reclaiming energetically of new ideas, new opportunities. What occurs when we show someone something? Do we do it in a space or place because we're trying to limit them? This is literally a lot of this energy almost saying to someone, don't misunderstand me. I'm not showing you something because I want you to stop doing it. I'm showing you something because I want you to find a way to make it flourish and grow more. The energy in the divine union frequency is navigating a lot of that frustrating terrain right now, almost showing things to one another about themselves, pushing someone into their highest version of self, saying, you know, if this is feeling like this, is, I told you, this is like that moment that feels like a metamorphosis, which is like, if this is feeling too difficult, maybe there's a better way of doing it. Maybe there's an easier thing we can figure out, right? This is like that energetic breakthrough point, right? That is helping the amplification on what is being let go. But that's that moment of saying it's being let go, not because it's not for you, because it's no longer serving you, right? And when we let go of something that's no longer serving us, we do so because there's something better that we've seized upon to help us as we move forward. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This modality is the expression that we just saw, except this is feeling less like it's in your hands. The energy in the divine union is making these choices for yourself. The energy coming into the divine union right now is seeing the energetic shift that is potentially occurring right now, both either internally in who you feel like you are releasing to come into divine union, or the energy around you recalibrating itself, finding you in the divine union frequency, is helping you build this better understanding of self, seeing how you may have been limiting your own patterns in the past, self-sabotaging, or internally or externally. That is what is energetically allowing that breakthrough point in terms of the energy moving into the heart of the divine union frequency, having that be that moment that both feels like the crushing pressure of realization, but also that energetic breakthrough. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. You are experiencing this right now in the modality of separation. So even now, a lot of the energy right now in separation is having this modality of seeing the results of a lot of that energetic work, doing a lot of that work, moving away from something that has not served you. Having that point, even now, looking back, taking accountability, saying, is there anything else I can do? No. Then forward we go. Is there anything else I can do? No. Then forward we go. That ability right now of the energy doing that work, making that choice. Again, not just doing it boldly, but almost constantly checking themselves, almost saying to themselves each time, is there anything else I can do? No, then away we go, right? That ability is allowing a lot of this breakthrough that is occurring right now. And again, it's that moment that's the amplification of seeing the productivity or new opportunities in the present that, again, almost create that sense of a stark reminder of the past. That's either allowing for that point of personal, doing something different, having a different result, especially for a lot of masculine that are trying to lead forth right now in that space or place of building honest communication and honest experiences with feminine. And what we effectively see with feminine coming into that space or place of not taking on additional healing, not taking on the karmic burden of another, recognizing that we take on the karmic burden of another, we deny them the ability to find their own path. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now. Empress, masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. What is effectively or energetically happening right now? The feminine energy in the divine union frequency right now. This is that, I told you, one of the things that's happening right now is, and I'm not surprised to see this, okay? Because what we see right now in the modality is the masculine energy is trying to uplift the feminine in the divine union frequency. But the feminine energy is going, This is the feminine energy going, because this is the feminine energy also being like, this is energy of trying to build a point of counterpart, right? This is the energy of the feminine wanting to move into that space or place of compassion that doesn't feel like that amplification of the feminine doing the things that they desire, or everything is in alignment with feminine. So even now with the masculine having that moment of uncertainty, even now this is feminine energy working through that modality of trying to like give back to the masculine in that way, to basically say like this is that recalibration point of a feminine being mindful and being like, no, like we like it's not like it's a shared burden, right? It's a shared energetic burden that needs to be like almost like navigated here. So we see a lot of the feminine energy working through that, but also this is feminine energy that like, you know, comes into that state of trying to like recognize how to do that even now in the energy of the frequency. It's difficult. Masculine and feminine energy, and this is the feminine energy also working through their own path point in like reclaiming power, like their own energetic like sense of self, but also like moving through it in a state or space of compassion, right? It's like you don't want to just like the solution isn't you need to balance. You don't want to replicate, right? Okay? Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This modality that we're effectively experiencing right now for the energy coming into divine union, this is that moment that again, if this is if this is masculine energy that is coming into divine union, and this is exactly why we see that a lot of the feminine energy is slowing the masculine energy down to a certain extent, right? Even now, because that is a mass feminine energy that's working on experiences or situations in the past wherein they want to make sure that the masculine energy isn't energetically putting them on a pedestal, right? They don't want to be put on a pedestal. Because what happens when we put things on pedestals? We put things on pedestals. It's that moment of the feminine saying, I want you to connect with me because we are doing this together. Not because you're creating that state or space of trying to protect me or trying to like amplify. This is the feminine energy almost saying like, I don't want to be on a pedestal. I want to be able to work with you. I want to be able to build with you. And even now we see that for the masculine navigating that right now. We see that a lot of the energy of the divine union is why we see the feminine almost like slowing the masculine down to that point of consistency. Because this is the feminine almost saying to the masculine, like, I don't want to see you have to like, you know, make all these like giant leaps and changes for the sake of me. I want to be able to do that work together, right? So we see even now this is feminine energy, like working through masculine, coming into that modality, if you will. Masculine in coming into divine union, that is also that moment that again is that feeling that you may be feeling like you're catching yourself to a certain extent, especially if this is masculine energy that's trying to build forth in a place of working with feminine as that equal energy of counterpart. If this is masculine that's having breakthroughs and suddenly you're looking at the other masculine around you like with a different perception, or you're having some of these like perceptual shifts, even now we can see the fact that this is like energetically hard for you to a certain extent because you're almost like catching yourself doing it even as you're trying not to, right? Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation right now. This is the feminine energy trying to come to terms even now. If this is feminine energy that was asking for things from a masculine that they're healing from, and now almost energetically receiving them or seeing signs of being able to receive something easily, that is painful. That is energetically painful for a feminine energy, because that's a feminine energy that almost feels like that sense of recalling their power and feeling a space or place where they're being honored and appreciated. It almost harkens back to the echo of the energy that would not provide that to the feminine, right? That is that hard expansion moment of feeling like, thank you, and then feeling that moment of grief, right? Like, thank you, but then feeling that moment of grief, because that's the feminine feeling the full weight of feeling that underappreciation point in terms of what they felt like they were hoping to aspire to receive from another masculine energy that was unhealed, being amplified in potentially feminine receiving it in the present. Masculine, if this is a modality where you're now building forth with feminine and you're seeing all of this productivity by being open and clear and not building that world of illusion with feminine, is now bringing forth like the energy of feminine that you aspire and desire for, it's feeling like it's coming at a very high price. That's why we see that a lot of the masculine energy this may be feeling like there's that observation of past situations or circumstances where you may be asking yourself and saying, I wonder what would have happened if I'd done this, if I learned this lesson sooner, right? So even now we see that a lot of the energy of the masculine is modality. Again, that's also that heart expansion moment, because it's the amplification of either feeling what you're finding in the present, and now potentially remembering someone in the past that was trying to help you learn that lesson sooner. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here to receive it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, when you book a private reading, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website, so I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.